You know, folks, I was today years old when I found out that the person soon to be running our education department, wrestling star Linda McMahon, was being sued for allegedly enabling the of children. Hey, Republicans, what the is this? I guess you guys are pro-life until they're old enough to... Yeah, keep coming at us with those groomer accusations. I mean, admissions, why don't you?
President-elect Donald Trump's pick for Education Secretary, Linda McMahan, is being sued for allegedly enabling the children.
But apparently that is old news, even though it wasn't to me. And today, that very same woman is being confirmed to head our education department. But some in the Senate with a moral backbone were quick to point out why Linda McMahon is a much worse pick than I'm sure many of us already thought. If you don't already know about this WWE scandal she was involved in, brace yourself.
A scathing lawsuit filed last month alleges that McMahon and her husband Vince of World Wrestling Entertainment knowingly enabled the exploitation of children by a WWE employee.
Yeah, we'll dive more into the details of what she's accused of having been doing since the 80s. But first, let's take a look at this clip of Senator Baldwin bringing this up in her Senate confirmation hearing today.
Mrs. McMahon, you have been named in a lawsuit which alleges that you and your husband allowed for systemic and pervasive abuse of underage children to persist in your business for years. It is an ongoing lawsuit, and it alleges that you rehired a known sexual predator and you felt it was sufficient to simply direct him to steer clear of children. If confirmed, you will be responsible with overseeing the Department of Education Office of Civil Rights, charged with ensuring equal access to education through vigorous enforcement of civil rights laws. I am so concerned about whether assault survivors on campus can trust you to support them.
Thank you, Senator. They certainly can trust me to support them. I have a granddaughter that is now in college. I have two grandsons who are in college. And I have a deep commitment of understanding of how I would feel if any of them were involved in harassment or accused of.
I can't even watch this woman. Can you believe the audacity of this woman to sit there and say in a Senate confirmation hearing, after the she's been charged with, she sits there and goes straight to herself and says, no, me, I care about my family. Oh, of course, I wouldn't want anything to happen to my family. I have a granddaughter. As if that qualifies her at all to give a about anyone else's family. As if it qualified her to give a shit about anyone else's family during the 80s or however long she's been allegedly letting this stuff go on.
As early as the 1980s, a lawsuit alleges that Linda McMahon was, quote, the leader in trying to conceal the sordid underbelly of WWE's abuse culture, unquote. McMahon denies the allegations.
Yeah, this lawsuit just popped up in Maryland a couple of months ago, and it's about things that happened in the 80s where they're saying that Linda McMahon, her husband Vince McMahon, leading the WWE, the WWF previously, and this company was allowing a to exist there as an announcer ringside for years. And the lawsuit is brought by a series of boys, at the time, now men, who are anonymous and say that they were abused by this announcer who was using them as ring boys, a man named Mel Phillips. He's now deceased, and that he was the. But the big question here is, what did Linda McMahon know and when? So they're saying in the 1980s, Mel Phillips was perpetrating this abuse. And then in 1988, Vince and Linda McMahon, running the company, fired him and then rehired him about 6 months later. The lawsuit says, and the McMahons actively created an environment that allowed Phillips and others to bring minors into the WWE, including to work as part of the ring crew, where there was a high risk and probability that they would be harassed and abused. The McMahons allowed Phillips to use the WWE and its assets to entice young boys to company events for defendants' benefit in growing their audience and prominence in the world of wrestling entertainment, and they failed to take action to prevent injury to the ring boys or report it on suspicion of injury.
You have my absolute commitment that I will uphold and protect those investigations to make sure that those students are treated fairly on both sides.
This is such a classic conservatism, and I'm sick of it. You don't give a shit about anyone else's kids, about anyone else's family, about anyone else's lives, except your own, and except when it affects you.
Does this lay the wrongdoing on Linda McMahon specifically?
It certainly tries to. The allegation here is one of negligence. And there is a lot of questions still about exactly what happened. There's been several investigations around the WWE at this time. And all of this has been public before. Back in the early 90s, the FBI was investigating. That was made public. Both of their attorneys are denying the allegation. And specifically, Linda McMahon's lawyer says this civil lawsuit, based upon 30-plus-year-old allegations, is filled with scurrilous lies, exaggerations, and misrepresentations regarding Linda McMahon. Ms. McMahon will vigorously defend against this baseless lawsuit and, without doubt, ultimately succeed. But this is something real in court now, these accusations, at a time when Linda McMahon is being nominated by Donald Trump to lead the Department of Education, a department to protect and take care of children in the United States.
This is insanity. The sheer fact that there are even credible allegations against someone for doing something like this or allowing it to happen would have conservatives in a fucking tailspin. And they would be losing their minds at the idea of a Democrat or someone on the left that had these allegations against them being put into office, being put into a position of power. And we would never hear the end of it. But now, utter silence. No one on the right is talking about it.
Why he was for something that was disgusting.
There is a pretty big abuse scandal going on with the WWE, and it involves children. So people should check it.
Okay, everybody's got
Fastest. Up next.
So don't ever tell me again that you want to protect children, that you think every life is sacred, because you fucking don't. Otherwise, maybe you wouldn't put this in charge of the education department.
Does this lay the wrongdoing on Linda McMahon specifically?
It certainly tries to. The allegation here is one of negligence.
Thursday night, you're going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it?
So, if you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these. Would you declassify the files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly about the way he died. It would be interesting to find out what happened there because that was a weird situation and the cameras didn't happen to be working, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I'd go a long way toward that one. The other stuff I would.
Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison, and so a lot of people want to know if she's going to turn in powerful people. And I know you've talked in the past about Prince Andrew, and you've criticized Bill Clinton's behavior. I'm wondering, do you feel that she's going to turn in powerful men? How do you see that working out?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly.
Thanks for watching.